care about, being undefeated at home. Like, that was not their priority.
It was all about getting to, unfortunately, what they didn't get to, which is the finals.
Well, not unfortunate in my opinion, but I agree. They definitely did not accomplish their goal this season. How do you think David West feels after taking, what was it, a $12 million, $14 million pay cut?
I mean, you know what? No matter where you end up in the season, whether you came out on top at the end or you didn't, you had to go into that season knowing that you're going to risk it all, and the chances of you winning it, while they might be higher than some other teams, isn't a given. And
Oh, for sure.
he had to understand that that was the risk of taking what he got. And to be fair, I mean, all season they looked like they were going to get there. So
No, it's true. It's true.
and especially with the beginning of the playoffs, with Curry getting injured, a lot of wishy-washy situations in the West with, Blake and then CP3 out and all that. Outside
Yeah.
of the OKC, I felt like it was literally the Spurs' to lose. So,
Oh, yeah. When Curry got hurt, I wish I had the numbers. When Curry got hurt, 538 was then actually Vegas, I think, was then projecting the Spurs as the favorite to win it all as soon as Curry went down. But, I mean, a lot of that turmoil in the West really was on the other side of the bracket. And if the Spurs, were looking ahead that far, which I don't think they are because Pop's a better coach than that, I mean, they were looking past the Thunder, who, knock on wood, were the healthiest team in the league this year, which I think they earned after last year. So, briefly, speaking of the Clippers, so Steph Curry goes down. The Clippers' door is blown wide open. It finally looks like they have a chance to get to the Western Conference Finals. And I don't know, 10 hours later, Blake Griffin and Chris Paul go down within like minutes of each other. Like,
Yep.
Do the basketball gods hate them? Like, did the door blow open just so they could slam it shut? Like how? I mean, how tough is that if you're a Clipper fan? Like, you finally think you're going to get there, and then it's just ripped from you. Like you need a time to, like, go to sleep happy. It was the same day.
We gotta see if there's the base god curse on them as well, which
maybe.
apparently they're still on the OKC, and that
whatever.
You gotta be careful of that.
Whatever. All right, I think we're doing just fine right now. So.
You're one up, so that's a good thing. And to be honest with you, OKC is a dangerous team, and I don't think the Warriors should ever look past them. I don't think any team should overlook them. They have a very good chance of taking this all the way, if not at least going to a Game 7.
Yeah, well, according to 538, which is my favorite website at the moment, after winning Game 1, the Thunder now have the best chance to win the title at 36%. I think the Warriors are at 35%, so it's pretty close. But before the series, the Thunder were at 20%. And just by winning Game 1, they are now at 36%.
Wow. Well,
yeah, so
that's what happens when you win the first game. It shifts.
Yeah, definitely on the road, no less.
Exactly.
It definitely helps.
Exactly.
So I think I wish I had like written down this stat, but it was something to the effect of, in the Western Conference Finals, when a home team loses the first 2 games of the series, they have never come back to win. So Game 2 is an absolute must-win for the Warriors. Like, that's not just hyperbole. Like, they really have to win that game. So we'll see how they come out. We'll see how the Thunder come out. Will be super exciting. So we will get to much more in-depth Thunder Warriors talk. But before we do, let's take a quick break and give a big shout out to Parody Tees, our first ever sponsor of the 4-Point Play. Parody Tees is this awesome online store that sells funny parody logo t-shirts and other gear that allows you to taunt your rivals without ever saying a word. They have a number of different sports, a lot of NFL, college, NBA, NHL, and right now they are doing a special promotion for 4-Point Play listeners. And they are giving 10% off to anyone who uses the code 4-Point Play, all one word, FOURPOINTPLAY, on their website, www.parodytees.com. So go check them out, use the code, get 10% off. Also, check them out and follow them on social media to see all of their new logos as they release them. And you can use their logos on your social media pages. Now that we're in the playoffs, and if you follow me, you've probably already seen my Thunder versus Warriors post using the Parody Tees logos, which hopefully I will be getting a lot of use out of. Super awesome. I love these guys. So go check them out and remember to use the code 4-Point Play, all one word, to save 10% on their website, www.parodytees.com. That's www.parodytease.com.
And we're back. So, halftime update on the Cleveland Cavaliers versus Toronto Raptors. It is 66-44 Cleveland. It is a blowout.
I hate admitting this because, like, we're supposed to, like, follow the NBA and know all this stuff.
Uh-huh.
I have paid so little attention to the playoffs in the East. And, like, there were a lot of game sevens and,
Yep.
like, in that regard, it was interesting, but, like, it's just not interesting. Like, I feel like the Cavs have such a cakewalk through the East.
Yep.
And I'm so frustrated by it because whoever comes out of the West, whether it's the Thunder or the Warriors or had it been the Spurs, whoever comes out had a battle on their hand. Like round
Yep.
one, not so much, but like every round after that is such a battle. And, you get to the East and Cleveland's like, yeah, we just played 12 games, had 4 sweeps. We've been sitting at home for 2 months. Like, I just,
But you know what? I think that sometimes sweeping is not always a good thing, especially
I
when
agree.
the other team that they're waiting on goes to a game 7, because I feel like there's momentum. And regardless if it's up and down, when you win a series after such a long battle, you just ride that momentum right into the next series. I feel as though,
I agree in the short term. Like, I think it helps you in game one, but I think long term to get through a 6 or 7 game, finals, you want to be well rested.
and you definitely do, especially when you're going up against a team that's been resting all that time. But something, I don't know. I've seen a lot of teams who go through such battles end up usually finishing off the other teams fairly quickly, like within a 5-game series almost. I
So
recall it.
your so
Yeah.
your money is on whoever wins the West to beat Cleveland in 5. Right now. That's your pick.
Well, it depends. If Cleveland, as they're doing right now, continues this win streak
Yeah.
and just goes undefeated in the whole Eastern Conference,
Well, let's say they win 4 or 5. They win in 4 or 5.
I say that whoever wins out of the West will probably take them in 5, no more than 6. It won't go to a game 7.
Okay. I hope you're right.
I just see it happening that way. I think the team that kind of goes undefeated doesn't know what to do when they get beat, and they tend to mess up a little bit in terms of how do we come back from a down situation after not being in that type of situation. So we'll see.
So who's that on? Is that on the coach?
I think it's on both the coach and the players, but I would probably lean more on the coach just because it's the coach's job to get the team mentally prepared and get them
Absolutely.
out of a rut if they're in a rut, and get them mentally psyched to get to that point where they need to overcome deficits or
Yeah.
overcome 2-1s or 3-1 situations.
Yeah, I did hear, I think Teron Lue, I think the quote was he called it a relief to finally know, who they were going to play. So, the fact that they've been done for a week and had to sit there and wait while, the Raptors and the Heat played this 7-game battle with all, everyone's players were injured in that series.
Right.
It was a relief for Cleveland to find out who they were going to play. God forbid you have one assistant coach preparing for one team and another assistant coach preparing for the other, but it is what it is. So,
Yeah.
okay, speaking of coaching, this, announcement was a little bit ago, but we haven't talked about it. So, Steve Kerr won Coach of the Year. Thoughts
Shocking.
on that? He missed half the season. What do you think?
He did miss half the season. I think they gave it to him for the record. I think
I agree.
at the end of the day, just because he wasn't there for half of the season doesn't mean that he wasn't doing what he had to do to get prepared, help out the coaching staff that he has, to be prepared to lead the team in his absence. And kudos to him for taking all that injury that turned out to be a lot worse than what he expected it to be, and to be able to get the team to get the new record, and get a
Yeah.
73-9 season win, because as you saw towards the end of the season, I mean, he had to win those last 4 games, and those 4 games on paper were not cakewalks. They had to face the Spurs twice and the Grizzlies twice. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I I was surprised when I saw that he won because he wasn't there half the season. But again, the more I thought about it, I completely agree with it. I think, they're looking not just his record this year, but last year. He is 140 and 24 in the last two seasons.
Ooh.
That's over 850% winning rate. Like, he didn't win it last year. I thought he was going to win last year, but Budenhauser of Atlanta won because they went, above expectations as well. So he didn't win it last year. And then you've got him this year. How do you have a guy with an 850 winning percentage over two seasons, and you didn't give him Coach of the Year either year? So I
Right.
kind of feel like that played into it a little. I also feel like, and we've talked about this before. I mean, Steve Kerr, he built this system. He built this car, he built this engine, and basically Luke came in and drove it. And it's not to say anything, about like Luke didn't do anything. It's not to,
Right.
discredit him, but I mean, Steve Kerr really did, keep it going even when he wasn't, on the sidelines. So I definitely think he deserved it. So good for him.
Yep. Congrats
Um,
to Steve Kerr.
yeah. And then, what do you think of, we didn't talk about this before, but so I'll put you on the spot a little. What do you think of Luke Walton, the next head coach of the Lakers?
Just glad he's not the New York Knicks coach.
Well, it's funny because I feel like that Lakers job had, I don't know what the right word is. It had so many strings attached to it because you have, Jim Buss, who said 2 years ago, if this team is not, in serious contention within 3 years, which is this coming up year, I'm going to step down. And then Jeannie, her sister, came in and said serious contention means second round of the playoffs. So if the Lakers don't get to the second round of the playoffs, it's pretty clear that Jim Buss is out. That presumably means Mitch Kupchak is out with him. So whoever, these are the guys that are hiring the current coach. So if you're the current, the coach, about to come in, and the two guys that hired you are on their way out in a season, like, what does that say about your job security? So, and then there was all these rumors with Phil Jackson, and he's got a 5-year deal with the Knicks, but he can opt out after 3, which is also next summer. And all the conspiracy theorists think that Phil's going to opt out. He's going to come back to the Lakers. He's going to reunite with his fiance. He's going to, lead the Lakers back to greatness. And we know that Phil Jackson only wants coaches that he knows. So, in my opinion, Luke Walton was the only candidate for this job that should actually feel comfortable taking this job because he's the only guy that's Phil bulletproof come next summer.
Yeah, him or Brian Shaw. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty much all you got. I mean, they already went through it, right? They Scott unfortunately did not get it, and Byron Scott didn't, seem like he was shocked when he said that his duties were relieved. But I mean, really, I feel like they gave him the job just because he was this. He played with Kobe, so they were like, "Hey,
Yeah.
just hang out with Kobe for his last couple of seasons." So
Yeah, exactly.
he's not
Like
alone in this.
we don't expect you to win anyway. Who cares?
Yeah, it's like Kobe's bored. He's not going to hang out with these young guys, so be his
Yeah.
friend.
We need someone a little more his age.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, speaking of let's call them older guys playing for the Lakers, Meta World Peace was asked, if he's going to come back next year, and obviously that's still in the works, but he said he was interested in it. But they asked him, how do you feel about, if you come back, how do you feel about Luke being the coach? Like, you guys were teammates like 3 years ago. Like, is that awkward? And now, he's like your boss? And Meta World Peace was so funny. He basically said no. He said, I am so excited. He goes, even when Luke was my teammate, he was like, I always thought of him as my coach. Like, I would come in from timeouts, and I didn't care what the coaches were saying. He goes, I went right to Luke and asked him what I should be doing. So, Meta World Peace is ready.
He is nothing short of a great soundbite.
Definitely. So, okay, moving on to another Warrior winning acclimates.
Yeah.
Steph Curry, first ever unanimous MVP. What do you think of that? How do you feel about that?
Without going off into a complete tangent on what an MVP is, I think that he is well deserved. There's no slight or shade coming from me. I think it's more against the title of the award. It almost should just be called the best player as opposed to the most valuable player because um, I feel sometimes just taking the literal meaning of what valuable means to me is, or my interpretation